Travel and Things in association with Sun Destinations, iconic destinations with amazing experiences, present In Conversation With. I am David Batsoffen, your host, and joining me today, all the way from Dinokeng, which is just north of Johannesburg, is Tatum Schultz. Tatum, a very good morning and welcome to you.
Thank you, David, and thank you for having us.
It's only a pleasure. Now, I know it's the end of a long weekend, and there may be guests checking out. So if your phone rings and you need to answer it, I'll work around you. Don't worry. I know out of the gate. So let's just establish that. Tell us a little bit about Ngiri Safaris, because you're slightly different from the norm. And the
Yes.
reason I mention that is that there's a dive school in the middle of a game reserve, thousands of kilometers from, almost 1,000 kilometers from the nearest ocean. Tell me about this and how it came about.
So basically, Ngiri Safaris was started in 2002 by my mom and dad, Andrew and Sue, and who are both keen conservationists and adventurers. They combined their love for the sea and the ocean, and the bush.
In the bush, yeah.
So basically, you know, they decided they love diving. They've been diving. My dad has been diving for almost 53 years. So, their passion for both the sea and the bush is something that they wanted to combine, and they have combined it, and it's done very well. Because if we look at the sort of track of who you've got a scuba diving school in a Big Five game reserve, we are actually one of two in the whole of South Africa.
I think it's fascinating, and I didn't realize this when I joined, because when I visited you guys recently, because I thought that the dive school was at the coast. So when I saw the pool, I was rather taken aback.
Yeah, no. So a lot of people are like, oh, and they go sort of to look at the pool when they check in, and they're like, wow, the pool's really deep. And I'm like, yeah, we use it for scuba diving. It's a 3-meter pool, so please be careful. So yeah, it is to some people a bit of a because when we check in, obviously we've got our pamphlets and stuff then, and we have a lot of inquiries and a lot of people, who are quite interested, and they sort of say, it's something very different to have
It is
in
indeed.
a lodge.
But let us walk prospective visitors through your campsite, and let's talk about what's available. So this is where my wife and I spent a weekend recently, self-catering, and a stunning chalet. It really and truly was, with great views. This particular one has great views of the sunrise, which I didn't realize until I spent one morning in bed and not go out on a game drive. And then the sunrise happened, and I went, so that's what my wife was raving about.
So yeah, so we basically have 3 chalets like this.
Right.
It basically comprises of a king size bed, a bunk bed, a full kitchen, which is fully equipped with all your cutlery and crockery.
Yeah.
And then a bathroom with a shower basin and toilet.
Yeah.
So these are basically the 3 units that we have, which are chalets. And then we have cabins.
Now, we'll come to the cabins in a moment, because this is what heats up the hot water. For people who don't know, this is a donkey boiler because of the way it looks. But it's basically a 44-gallon drum that's heated by fire, and it makes the most awesome hot water. It really and truly does. And all eco-friendly, really.
Yes, no, definitely, yeah.
And you can have a shower if there's load shedding, because this doesn't rely on anything other than firepower, literally, to keep it going.
Yeah, and I mean it's a great way to, also the smell of the fire. People sort of love it, because when you go to other places, it's not really something that they see or get to see, and they find it very fascinating. They really do.
There's only one other camp, and that's in a different reserve that I'm aware of that has a donkey boiler. But that donkey boiler is for the entire camp. There's communal showers, bucket showers. So you go, you draw your hot water, you put it in the bucket, and the bucket has a valve, and it's awesome. Look, in the middle of winter, it can be freezing to step outdoors, but I think it's part of the fun. Now, these are the
Yeah, no,
cabins. So this is one of the cabins that you're alluding to, and it looks like this inside.
yes. So our cab, we have two cabins,
Right.
and it sleeps two guests, two
Mm.
adults, which comprises of on the outside on the deck, as you saw on the first picture, there's a small kitchenette with a
It's there.
also all your cutlery and crockery. So on
Yeah.
that little deck there, sort of in the left-hand corner, there is a little kitchenette. It's got a gas stove. So obviously, once again, not relying on your Eskom power.
Yeah.
And then also all of our units are run by the donkey system, the donkey boiler system.
I think it's a
Um,
great idea.
this unit, there is this fridge and a microwave in the unit, as well as a fan, heater, tea, coffee, and sugar. And then the ensuite bathroom on the right hand side of the picture, which also comprises of a toilet basin and a shower.
Yeah, I'm still amazed at guests, and it seems to be the internationals more than the locals who want to bath in the middle of the
Yes.
bush. Shower is the only way. And in fact, often, and maybe I'm nailing my colors to the mast here, and people won't let me come and visit with them again. Because, you wake up in the morning to go on a game drive, and you don't want to wake up a half an hour earlier to have a shower. And sometimes at night, you've had dinner, you just want to get into bed. You don't. So you can go for
Yeah.
2 days without showering, or I can.
Sorry, just there,
There's
sorry,
wet
David,
wipes.
I'm going to stop you there.
Yeah.
Ngiri Safaris, good day.
Okay, so while Tatum takes a call, let's talk about this
Good
particular
night,
cabin.
yourself.
Um, as you can see, it's got bedside tables, it's got
Yes.
bedside lamps that work as bedside lamps and not just um, what was I going to say? Not just as decor. And then, as Tatum mentioned, there is a shower together with the toilet and basin in there. And about here somewhere, just out of shot, is a fridge and a microwave. So you can cook to your heart's content or reheat your braai from the night before. Because if we look at this, in this area over here is a braai, and you can take your time, sit outside and enjoy a meal of your own choosing. So let's just unmute or ask Tatum to unmute herself because I seem to have muted her. There, she's back with me. You've done what you needed to do, Tatum, and you're back.
Yes, sorry, I had to let a guest out.
No, it's not a problem. So I've been just filling in potential guests on that. And then this, which you asked if I wanted to spend the night in. My wife and I looked at each other for about a split second and said, no, thank you, it's too cold. But
Yeah.
I should imagine that if you have a hot water bottle and some nice thick blankets, this could be really, really cozy.
Yes, no, it is. So again, we have three rustic tents. Reason being of the rustic, I mean, you get your luxury tents, and
Yeah,
so we have obviously rustic tents. They don't have their own bathrooms and their own kitchens. That is a communal kitchen and communal bathrooms.
right. Okay, so
Basically, yes,
So maybe that's for people who are used to camping and are used to sharing ablutions and kitchens. And I could
yes,
imagine, ablutions aside, but I mean, if you're sharing a kitchen and you're making, I don't know, some sort of pre-packed meal and the guy next to you is cooking up a gourmet meal, it could be rather intimidating. Either intimidating or you're going to strike up a new friendship and go, listen, can't you share that with me? I'm really not a good cook. So maybe you'll share
yeah. So
your
I must say, our guests have there's never really been an issue with the kitchen.
Mm,
So normally what happens is because they know it's a communal kitchen and they know, they sort of ask, are all three tents booked? Generally, you get a family that books all 3 tents and
Okay.
a group and things like that. So I've never really had any issues with, people, having to
Yeah.
share the kitchen type of thing.
Okay. And
So,
then this is what the inside of the tent looks like. And these, if I remember from what you told me, are battery operated. The little
um,
bedside lamps.
yes, those are battery operated. And then basically it is comprised of a double bed. We in
Yeah.
all of our units we supply all your towels, we give you soaps, hand lotions, and all of that. We in also in all of our units we have
Mm.
extra blankets for obviously the winter times that
Yeah.
when it's cold, so our guests don't get cold. Um, this does have electricity. However, the electricity is only to charge your phone. And
Okay.
like you said, there is a tea and coffee tray station, so you don't have to walk in your pajamas all the way to the kitchen, to go and get your coffee. You can literally wake up, make your coffee, and you can sit there on your porch and look out into the reserve. So our tents, all 3 of them, are on the reserve fence line.
Mm.
So we sometimes have the wildebeest, giraffe, zebra, sort of playing game, walking up and down the fence, which is kind of great, for the clients who are sitting out there having a braai or busy with their, the usual just day-to-day stuff.
Yeah. Also, you have black impala on your property, which I'd never seen
Yes,
before. I've
that
seen
is
black
correct.
springbok, but never black impala.
Yeah, so we have 4 of them, um, 3 males and 1 female. I think, no, wait, it's 2 females and 3 males.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have actually said to me that they haven't seen it, which is quite strange because for me, growing up on the farm, obviously, it's sort of like it's an impala because everyone was like, they come here, they sort of ask me, what animal is that? And I'm like, it's just a black impala.
And if you look carefully at that impala, you can see where the stripe runs down its side, where it would normally be like caramel and tan.
Yes,
It's not a solid black. It
no,
is it,
it's
it
not.
is almost a two-tone black.
Yes, that's correct.
Interesting. And now, of course, we come to the pièce de résistance, if you and that's the dive school in the middle of nowhere, literally
Yes, that's
in the middle of
correct.
a game reserve.
That's correct.
And you've not had animals come to drink from your pool or do game that are inside your fence line come and drink here.
Yeah, so we've got a number of impala that obviously roam the camp.
Yeah.
They come to visit the guests every now and again. So basically, yes, they do drink. Oh, my dog's not coming into the shot. He also wants to be on tape.
Who's that? Layla.
So basically, um, he is so yeah, so that we do get the odd occasion where they do come drink out of the pool. It
Yeah.
does happen. And basically we've had 1 or 2 that have fallen in, but they get out and stuff like that. Obviously, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Um, but when the guests are around, they're obviously not there.
No, that makes sense. And then guests who arrive and want to do dive courses, do they have to bring their own kit? I see here this is a full kit. So can they just rent while they're on the property? And then I know that you guys have another property down on the coast, so they can qualify here as a diver and then go down to your parents' property down on the coast and go and enjoy some sea time.
Yes, so basically, what we do is we do all of the courses from a basically trying scuba. Your try out scuba. It's about a half an hour to an hour course where
Right.
we just put you in the pool, right up to sort of dive master, instructor trainer. And so we basically go through all of those steps, and it's through NAWI. We also do rated and SSI. And then if you don't have equipment, you guys we can rent it out to you.
Yeah.
But if you've got your own gear, obviously bring it along. Obviously cylinders, it's not something that you would carry around with
Yeah.
you. So basically we supply that, and your air. and the weight belt, because again, it's not
Yeah,
something
it's
that you
heavy.
have in your in your dive bag. It's sort of a bit of a mission. Um, yeah, so this is like a sort of a baby for me. Uh, especially in terms of trying to just get people into scuba diving, because it's such a wonderful sport
Mm.
and so calming, and it's just amazing. So basically you do your course here in the pool, and then we do a couple of dives at Miracle Water, and then we send you down to see Sodwana Lodge, which is in Sodwana Bay, which is sort of a sister lodge to us, and we send them down there to do their open water first dive in the sea.
That's wonderful. Miracle Waters has a special meaning for me because I dived there when they first opened. And they were still tossing various things into the water for you to swim in and out of. I seem to remember there was a toilet that they dropped in so that you could go and sit on that, an aeroplane fuselage, cars that you can swim in and out of. It's all weird.
Yeah,
And
there's a
it's
bus as well, and a aircraft.
and the aircraft. That bus, just to digress for a moment, Tatum, we did a night dive on that bus. And then the following morning,
Oh,
we did a day dive, and it's into the bus, and it is so different because at night you can only see what's in the light of your torch, and
yes.
it's so different. And in the morning you go, I did not know the rest of this was here. I could only
Yeah.
see sort of two chairs and a hole that I wanted to get out of.
Yes.
But it's hugely entertaining, and as you say, it's very calming and a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But now, if you don't want to dive and you don't want to get into the water, then you just hop onto one of these and you can go and enjoy yourselves a game drive.
Yeah. So basically, sorry, just to go back to the scuba diving,
Yeah,
David.
sure.
We also do offer so we have packages.
Mhm.
So you can either come in for the day and do your course and go home for some. And for others, we do sort of a course with the accommodation and a game drive. So after
Right,
you've done, you sort of relax, and then at a later stage at about 4 o'clock, you hop on the game gear and go for a lovely drive, just to sort of end off the day.
right.
So we've got different packages where as well so basically it's a 2 night stay, including your course, and then we also have different ones where there are a couple of kits involved, like your sort of soft kits, your mask, fins, your wetsuit, that type of stuff. So
Okay.
just your sort of kind of necessities. So game drives are obviously done in the reserve, and we have big five. So that's the lion, buffalo, cheetah, rhino, and elephant. And so basically, we sort of ride in the southern side of the reserve. The northern side is part of, they call it, I'm not too sure what the word is, but a smaller, private part of the game reserve.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
so we drive in southern side.
what was interesting for me was I hadn't seen one of these for the longest time in the wild. Because the reserve that I normally go to, the ostriches that they've tried to put in there, every time they put ostriches in, the lions eat them. And the
Oh my
ostriches
goodness.
have a lifespan of about 3 weeks, if I remember correctly. So
Oh
the
my
reserve
goodness.
just gave up because ostriches, by their very nature, can be stupid, but they do run fast and they kick hard.
Yes,
So for
that's
me to
correct.
see this many ostriches in a couple of days, not this many because here's only one. I saw several while I was there, and
Yeah, we do have a lot.
it was cool to spend time with an animal that I haven't seen for a while. So let's talk nitty gritty now, and let's
Yes.
talk about how people can find you, what Ngiri offers, and Ngiri, by the way, if I remember correctly from you telling me, means warthog in Swahili.
That is correct, yes. So we actually lived in Kenya for 4 years,
Okay,
and obviously the names of the chalets and that are also Swahili.
okay. So talk me through how people contact you, how they would go about making a booking. What's the best time of the year to come to Dinokeng? And for people who don't know about Dinokeng, it's probably the closest Big Five reserve to Johannesburg. You're only an hour and a half away, unless you do what I did and put ignore toll roads into my GPS, and that
Oh
would have
dear.
added another hour to my drive because it
Yeah.
kept trying to take me off the highway. And I said to my wife, I know where I'm going. I've been to the reserve before. Why is
Yes.
it taking me all these back roads? And then when I got home and I looked at my settings, I realized I'd gone, don't use toll roads.
Oh dear.
But luckily we realized in time. And
Yeah.
I'll get to you guys quickly.
Yeah, so we are about an hour away from OR Chamber and a
Yeah.
very, very quick 45 minutes from Pretoria. So before COVID hit, just an interesting story. Not a lot of people knew about Dinokeng.
Right.
And we sort of weren't on the map before COVID, and then COVID happened, and then they started opening up stuff within the provinces, and you could travel, but within your own province. And
Yeah.
then that's when people actually started to finding you not just in Ngiri, but Dinokeng as a place, because
Yeah.
it's sort of they could come to us without having to have permission and all of that sort of stuff. So that's where what really actually putting Ngiri and also Dinokeng on the map.
Okay. Because there's more that you've also probably got the highest concentration of commercial properties in Dinokeng. I mean, there's a lodge almost every 50 meters, yet you guys are
Yes,
very separate from each other. It doesn't feel like you're living on top of another lodge, or certainly not for
no,
me as a guest.
no. So obviously in between there, so what happens in Dinokeng is your landowners basically they take a portion of their property, fence it out, and then take a portion of their property and leave it open for the
Yeah.
reserve. And
Okay.
that's where you get the self-drive routes and where people can drive through the reserve. So it's a community that has basically come together and made a reserve.
As I was going to say, I know you guys do self-drive, and self-drive, like in the Pilanesberg or the Kruger, is relatively easy. Pilanesberg are circles, Kruger is well documented.
Yes.
But talking uh, when I was there, I believe that people do get lost in Dinokeng, although the routes are marked.
Yes.
Um, you can easily take a left where you should go right type of thing.
That is correct. Yeah. So I mean it's obviously it's just the people who know the reserve
Yeah.
don't get lost. The people that sort of come here for the first time, sort of take a wrong turn. I get a lot of people asking me to open the gate for them because they sort of can't get out, and they're like, we're sitting at this gate and we can't get out, and it's just
Yeah.
a huge problem.
But one that's easily resolved at the end of the day. So people want to make a reservation. How do
Yes.
they go about it, Tatum?
So we have our telephone number, which is a pretty simple one. That we have an email address in ngirisafaris@gmail.com. We do also have an Instagram and Facebook page. We also have a booking system on our website. So you
Okay.
can go onto our website, put in your dates, how many people, which unit you'd like, and then that gets sent to us on our bookings email address. And then yeah, we sort of go from there. But majority of the people sort of find us on Google
Mhm.
and or Facebook, and then because we're obviously a part of a lot of groups of which is Dinokeng.
Yeah.
So a lot of the business comes from there. So they see that on Facebook, and they sort of say, okay, well, let's get in contact. So yeah, those are basically the main ones that they use.
Great stuff. And as you say, you can accommodate when the camp is full. How many
Mhm.
people can you accommodate?
22.
22. Okay, so it's not a huge camp because I've been to some camps where there are 50 to 80 people, and I'm sorry,
Yes,
that's just too many. That's like going to a
yes,
hotel resort
yes,
um,
exactly.
at the end of the day, and that's not where I want to be.
Yeah,
And Giri's,
the reason why we have so many, we only have so many units as
mm,
well. It's just so, our units are fairly spaced apart. So,
yeah,
if you, when you, it, a lot of people come to us because it's private. there you have your own private, every unit has its own private braai. You're not sitting on top of the other
Yeah.
person. So you're completely separate and on your own. And it's lovely because you don't have people, you don't hear people talking next to you.
Mm.
If you just want a chilled afternoon, you don't have people braaiing and getting out, rowdy and stuff like that.
Children running around screaming at the top of their
Yes, yeah. They
um
sort of stick to their own house.
yeah, exactly. Although if their braai is smelling better than mine, trust me, I'm going to walk over and see what they're cooking. I'm going to do
Yeah.
it. I'm going to do what Dwayne Johnson used to do. If you remember him from WWE, his tagline for a while is, "Can you smell what the Rock is cooking?"
Oh
Um,
my goodness.
so I might well have done that. But the people that were there when we were there seem to have been very quiet. We had a wonderful, wonderful time. And everything was spectacular. It really and truly was. Everything that opened and closed, opened and closed. The braai was the other thing, people, if you are going to braai, take wood and fire lighters. Although there is a supermarket, as we found, because every time I go away, I don't know about you, Tatum, but every time I go away, there's always one thing I leave behind.
Yes.
Whatever it is. I've left camera battery chargers at home and gone to Turkey with no camera, with only the batteries that I had in my cameras and two
Oh
spares.
dear.
Yeah. And as a photographer, I had to cut back and be very conservative in what I was shooting. When we came to you, it was fire lighters and tomato sauce. So we stopped off at the supermarket, and they're very nice, and they had both and at very reasonable prices, because often those places tend to be a bit exorbitant because they know that those are forgotten items and
Yeah.
you can't do without them. But it was wonderful, and it was great to spend time with you guys. It really and truly was.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was lovely to have you guys.
Just in sort of wrapping up,
Mm.
when would you suggest for people who are coming diving specifically, because
Yeah,
people are used to getting up in the early hours of the morning to go on game drives, winter, spring, summer, or autumn.
that's
But
great.
if they want to combine both, when is the best time to come diving? Because
Obviously, on the diving, sorry.
your pool isn't heated.
No, unfortunately,
Yeah.
it's not. So, like, that's what I was going to say. On the diving side, I'd say sort of like mid-September to
Yeah.
around about like May,
Yeah.
because that's when obviously it's nice and warm. But you do get the what do you call them? The GI Joes who sort of,
The
don't mind
diehard
jumping,
enthusiast.
don't mind jumping in a pool that's 16 degrees. They've
Yeah.
got their swimming pool wetsuits and the diehards, and if
Yeah.
they want to dive, they want to do it now and not they don't really worry about the cold water.
Fair
I'm
enough.
just
And if
one,
they come
I
from the
don't
Cape,
do cold
16
water.
is a good temperature.
Yeah, I don't like cold temperatures.
No, I don't either. We dived at the coast some while ago, and us from up north or from Gauteng were, what's the temperature? And they were told us, and we went, we'll wear wetsuits. And the guy from the Cape went, what's the temperature? Are you mad, wetsuits? I'm going in a t-shirt and a pair of shorts. This to me
I
is
know.
boiling hot, because they're
and
diving
and
in 12 degrees down there.
Yeah, well, it was insane. So when we went to go diving at Sedwana, we had a client who was from America actually,
Yeah.
and we picked it up with wetsuits and the works because the water was like 21 degrees. He went with his board shorts and a t-shirt, and this is bath water. After
Yeah.
40 minutes, I'm going, I'm freezing, I'm going up, but I won't actually do. That's
Pardon me.
terrible.
Yeah, well, each to his own. Once
Yes,
again,
exactly.
won't you give me the contact numbers for the viewers so that they can make a note of it? Let's start off with the cell phone number.
Okay, it's 084 408 1448.
Your email address?
Is Ngiri, Ngiri, Safaris, Safaris,
Don't forget the
at
S, people.
gmail.com.
Great
Sorry?
stuff. No, I said, don't forget the S. It's not in Ngiri
Yes,
Safari.
yeah, it's not in Ngiri
Yeah,
Safari, it's in Ngiri Safaris.
Safaris. Yeah. And then
Yeah,
finally,
otherwise, you've really got to like sort of put the S out there, in Ngiri Safaris.
yes. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, somebody who's got that other domain without the S is going to get a lot of bookings.
Yes.
Ah, there's the puppy that we missed out on
Yeah,
with
it's being a
visiting.
pain.
No, it's quite all right. Tatum, thank you so very much for joining me here on In Conversation With, and thank you so very much for hosting us recently. And we look forward to coming back in September when there's time, when it's warmer, to come and do a dive course with you guys.
Yes, and thank you for coming to us. It was lovely having you and lovely having a chat to you. And thank you so much for everything.
It's only a pleasure. My guest today on In Conversation With has been Tatum Schultz, who runs Ngiri Safaris in Dinokeng. And if you've never been to Dinokeng, I suggest you make this your first stop.